Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, we just continue to our topic. So, actually, if you are ECO 415 economic, this is the chapter 8. Okay, which is chapter 8, you are measuring the gross domestic output and national income accounting. So, in this case, you have to know what is a circular of law. Okay, I will show you later. And then what I'm going to stress is about the method to calculate the national income. Okay, so before we calculate the national income, before we know what is the method, okay, but all right, we also have uses of national income and problem in calculating national income. National income and product accounts. So what do you understand about the national income? Okay, national income and product accounts, okay, are data collected and published by the government. So they are describing the various components of national income and outputs in the economy. Okay, it's mean that when the firms produce output, okay, as you learn in the theory of production, theory of firms, okay, production and cost of production. So this firm will produce goods and services. Okay, and finally, from these goods and services, the consumer will buy the goods, and the flow of income there is, right? There is a flow of output and also the flow of money. So this is what we call national income and output in the economy. All right. Okay, this is more specific. National income is a total income received by all economic agents in the economy based on the goods and services produced in the economy in a certain periods of time. Okay, so it's an income received by all economic agents. Okay, all right. Stock and flow. So what is a flow? A rates of change in quantity during a given times of period. Okay, all right. What is a stock? A quantity measure at one point in time. So what is the link between stock and flow? Okay, so this is what we call, in this chapter 8, you have to know the circular of flow. The circular flow of goods and income, how the flow happen, okay, how the economic rotation. Right, so this is a firm. So firm will provide goods and services to household. But to provide goods and services, they need a factors of production. So we have land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. So once the firm hire, okay, these factors of production, so it should be give a return to them. Okay. So when they provide goods and services to household and household return, they will buy the goods and services and they have to expand or they do a expenditure. Okay, so this is flow of money. Okay, uh, good and services is a flow of output. All right, so as I said that, okay, the factors of production is from household. So they give a service of factors of production, example like labor. So they must the firm must give a return to them. So which is they have to pay a wages. Okay. This is what we call wages, rent, dividends. Okay, this is flow of money. Circular flow. What is a circular flow model? It's a model that shows us how the pieces of the puzzle fit together. Okay, if you see in the chapter 8, okay, cost content, so you have to know circular of flow in the two sector. Okay, what the meaning of two sector? Two sector means we have household and we have firms. So household hold all the factor of reductions, and household will spend all the income received as I already explained, and then firm do not make any new investment. Okay, so this is the factors of payment. The consumptions of domestically produced goods and services. Okay, when the firm, okay, they produce goods and services, so automatically the household will do a consumption. So consumer is referred to the consumption. They do a consumptions domestically. Factor payment is a payment for factors of productions. Okay, circular flow of income. Firms and household. You have to know how to draw this. Okay. What additional sector does a complex circular flow model contain? Financial market, government. Okay, this is other agent that contribute to the circular flow. Uh, Financial markets, government, foreign markets. Okay. Uh, so in your chapter, we are not concerned about 3 or 4 sector. So you only have to know the 2 sector only. But I will explain. Okay. Uh, Household, they will make a saving and they save their money at bank. Okay, by doing a deposit money in the bank. Okay, so bank, from the money that the bank collected from this saver or depositor, so they will do a investment. Okay, by the firms, they go to the bank and make a loan. All right, and finally, if they have a money from the loan, so they can do investment. So in the symbols of I. Okay, government is related with the taxes. It means that consumer, they have to pay a tax. Okay, and the firm also have to pay a tax. It's a company taxes. And the taxes actually is a revenue for the government. Okay, from this revenue, the government will do a expenditure. That is what we call government expenditure. And in one country, they will do export and import. Okay, so they will make or contribute the relation with this foreign sector by export and import. Okay, so you just keep this. Okay, all right. Next is the approach to national income measurement. Okay, all right. So firm is related with the production. They are going to produce goods and services. Okay, and then they will provide the income. How to provide the income? From the factors of production or resources that they need to produce a good and services. Okay, and then finally, okay, this household or consumer, they will make an expenditure from the income that they receive from the factor payment. Okay, so we have output approach, income approach, and expenditure approach. But in ECO 415, you are concerned about output approach and expenditure approach only. You have to know several of uh, okay, example like what is a gross domestic product? Okay, what is a gross domestic product? GDP is the most widely reported measures of national income economic performance. So why we calculate the national income? Okay, why we calculate the national income? So in the final exam, they will asking you the uses of national income, and sometimes they will occur the problem when you calculate the national income. So what is the problem in calculating the national income? Okay, So gross domestic product is, okay, the total market value of all final goods and services. Okay, um, we are focused on the word final good and services because all the second-hand product we cannot calculate the national income. Okay, with a given period by factors of production located within the country. So we not only have GDP, we also have GNP. GNP is a gross national product. So GNP measure the market value of all final goods and services produced by a nation resident, no matter where they are located. Okay, all right. So what is the advantage of using GDP? Okay, GDP measure the value using dollar rather than a list of the numbers of goods and services. So it means that when we calculate the national income, so we can know how much the income for that country, even, okay, rather than you just know how much the numbers of goods and services that produce in the country. So how do you want to know that the country was a good performance, a good economic performance or not? This is as I mentioned that you cannot calculate the second-hand transaction. No, okay. Current GDP does not include the sales of used car or the sales of home contracts some years ago. Okay, what is an intermediate good? Goods and services used as input for production of final good. To produce a final good and services, so you need this item, okay, as inputs of production. Okay, does GDP count the intermediate goods? No, all right, because of we are trying to avoid this problem. What's problem is a double counting. Okay, GDP only measure the final, as I said that we concerned about the final good and services. So what is a final goods? Final mean is a finished good and services produced for the ultimate user. Does GDP measure non-productive financial transaction? No. GDP does not count purely private or public financial transactions, such as if the country they receive some or they receive some gift or stock or bonds or transfer payments, so we cannot calculate on that. What is a transfer payment? It's a government payment to individual, not in exchange for goods or services currently produced. Does GDP measure the whole of economy? Yes, GDP consists of many puzzle pieces to fit together, including market for product, resources, consumers, workers, and businesses. That's why we concern about the factors of production. All right, next is the output approach. What is the output approach? Okay, this is one of the method to calculate the national income. Okay, this is the main objective in this chapter 8. So output approach is total value. You are calculate the national income by using total value of all final and goods and services produced plus any additional stock during the year, or the value added of all goods and services at each stage of production. Okay. All right. We calculate all the output that produced by the all sector. So we has output from the manufacturing, agricultural, constructions, banking, insurance, forestry, and others. Okay, this is a several formula that you have to know, all right? Gross domestic product and market price, and GDP at factor cost, all right? So there is a formula. We have GNP. GNP means you have to calculate GDP plus factor income from abroad, and you have to minus factor income to abroad. Okay, several formula. So this is NNI. NNI means net national income. So this is the point. The last or the last finals value that you're going to take when you calculate the national income. This is example. We have banking and insurance, agriculture and fishing, meaning mining, constructions, forestry, manufacturing, other services. Okay, and then you calculate. You just added all uh, the value that produced by all the sector, and then 2970 is GDP at market price. Okay. So you will know what is a market price, what is a factor cost. Okay, market price means it's referred to the prevailing price, is a price in the market through the forces of demand and supply. Okay, it's mean that when there is an intersect between demand and supply for that product, so that is a market price. Okay, it's the price that consumer have to pay. But factor cost means the sum of all income earned by all the factors of production. For instance, supplier of land, labor, and capital, which is help to produce the year's national output in the economy. Okay, this is example how to calculate. The normal situation is when they give you a question, okay, they will give you a value of GDP at market price. Okay, from this GDP at market price, okay, you will calculate until you get the NNI or NI. The last is a 2820. So it means that this is a national income value for that country. Okay, and you have to know how to change from the GDP-MP to GDP-FC, and then GDP-FC to GNP, FC, and finally NNP-FC. Okay, there is a formula there. Okay, the second approach is expenditure and also income. Okay, but you just keep the income. Okay, we concerned about the expenditure. What is the expenditure approach? Expenditure approach is the national income accounting method that measure the GDP by adding all the spending for final goods and services. Okay. So they are concerned on all the spending. They are focused on the consumption for final goods and services. Okay, the formula is Y equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. But it depends on the how many sector that you have. 2 sector, 3 sector, 4 sector. Okay, so what is the 4 sector for GDP? Consumption, investment, government expenditure, and foreigns. Foreign is a export minus import. See, so this is the formula. Okay, expenditure approach is a total expenditure made in our country consumer goods and services plus the expenditure on investment goods and services and net addition to stock. Okay, so this one skip. If I'm not discussed, so it's mean that you have to skip. Okay, right. So what is a depreciation? Depreciation or capital consumption sometimes is an allowance for the capital worn out producing GDP. What is an indirect business tax? Taxes levied as a percentage of the prices of goods and sold and therefore become a part of the revenue received by the firms. Okay. Right. What is a shortcoming? Okay, what are the national account measure economic performance? Net national product, national income, personal income, disposable personal income, nominal and real GDP. Okay, this is other national accounts. Okay, measure the economic performance. So you have to know. Okay, as we calculate, we can get the net national product. So that is a national income. Okay, and personal income. Personal income means you have to take the national income and then you have to divide example like insurance, okay, and then there is a several formula that you have to minus and plus. Okay, let's say transfer payment, so you have to plus the transfer payment. Okay, and we have disposable personal income. Disposable personal income, when you have the personal income, the value of personal income, and then you have to minus with the direct tax, okay, or individual taxes. What is the nominal and real GDP and GDP chain price index? Okay, what is a personal income? Personal income is a total income received by the household that is available for consumption, saving, and payment of personal taxes. Okay, what is a disposable personal income? It's a amounts of income that the household have to spend or save after payment of personal tax. It means that after you deduct the individual tax. What is a nominal GDP? It's a value of all final goods based on the prices existing during the time periods of production. Okay, what is a real GDP? The value of all final goods produced during a given time period based on the price existing in selected base year. Okay, so this is the formula to get the real GDP. Okay, this one you just. Alright, this is very important. Okay, uses of NI. Okay, you calculate the national income. So what's for? The purpose of you calculate the national income. So the first one is to measure the economic growth. Okay, so growth rate is you have to take the real GNP minus real GNP. Real GNP 1 minus real GNP 0. Okay, divide by real GNP 0 times 100. Okay, so this is example. So let's say the real national income for country X in the year 2000 is 10,000. And in the year 2001 is 11,000. So the economic growth is 11,000. You have to minus with the 10,000, divide by 10,000 times with the 100. So you'll get 10%. So 10% is the economic growth. It means that the example like, okay, let's say Malaysia. So Malaysia economic growth in the current year is 10%. So to indicate how to calculate or to indicate the general standards of living. So this is a second purpose. Okay, when you calculate the per capita income, you have to take the GNP and then you divide by the population for the country. Okay, so let's say 1250. So this is per capita income. And from this per capita income, you can indicate the standards of living for the country. Okay, next. The purpose of national income, we calculate the national income, is to know the distributions of income in the economy. Okay, to exist the government in the planning, all right, and then the contributions by the sector and the taxable capacity. Okay, and you calculate the national income. The value is very important because you can compare between the country, which is a developed country, which is underdeveloped country, or which is a rich country, poor country, and so on. Okay, this is the last part in the chapter 8. It's a problem in measuring the national income. What's problem? First is a double counting. As I said that when you calculate the national income, you cannot calculate the second-hand product or the intermediate product. Okay, you have to calculate all is final item. Okay, to avoid the double counting. And then sometimes there is an unpaid activity. Okay, and maybe it's a lack of data and allowance of we allow the depreciations and lack of expertise. And the last one is a problem of illiteracy. Problems of measuring the quality. Okay, that's all for chapter 8. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, okay, you can maybe you can WhatsApp me individually or personally, or you can asking me at the group discussions. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.